is Roth Conversions. Okay, and this also ties into that marginal tax bracket. But I believe all but one of our attendees tonight said that they thought tax rates were going to go up in the future. And that's why this concept is so important to consider right now, because I see it all the time where a lot of folks have the bulk of their investments or their savings in pre-tax 401k or IRA type of accounts. So looking at doing a Roth conversion may make a ton of sense if we think tax rates are going up in the future. So in a nutshell, what a Roth conversion is, and you can do this inside of a 401k plan, or you can do it inside of an IRA type of a plan, but you basically pay the income tax today and get that money converted over to a Roth type of a vehicle. So again, it depends on if your 401k offers a Roth your company offers a Roth 401k option, if you can do it inside of those. But if you own an IRA outside of that, we can convert that to a Roth, so that from that point forward, you don't pay any more income tax on any of the growth or accumulation in that product. Other things that it does is it helps avoid any required minimums or required minimum distributions, or the IRS doesn't force you to take it out at a certain age, whether you need it or not, or want it or not. It also passes 100% tax-free to that next generation, which again can help improve the legacy. The only thing you've got to be cautious of is that I believe, and Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong here, there's a 5-year holding period. So if you make the conversion, you can't take any of those dollars out of the Roth IRA for a 5-year time frame. All right?
No, that's not correct. So,
okay, well then fix me up there.
Sure. So there's 3 orders of withdrawal that the IRS has. So once you convert it to a Roth and you've paid the tax on it, any of your contributions you can withdraw at any point in time tax-free. Okay? Rollovers, as long as they were taxable, same thing, you can draw out tax-free. Where you run into taxable on Roth is the gain. So if you have held the gain and the Roth, and it's been 5 years since you made your initial contribution, and it doesn't matter if you make a contribution every year, once you've hit that 5-year period for that contribution, all of the gain is then tax-free. And one of the things that you see, unfortunately, is most of the companies, when you have a Roth distribution, they show the gross distribution, but they leave the taxable amount blank, and then they say taxable amount not determined on your 1099 form. So that's where we usually run into some other issues is, needing additional information for, how much did you make for contributions? Have you held it 5 years? If you haven't held it 5 years, then what are we pulling out? Are we pulling out just your contribution, or are we pulling out the gain? And what the IRS tells us is that you have to pull out all of your contributions before you start pulling out the gain. And that way, then your initial distributions from that are tax-free. And at some point, you may have the gain. But hopefully, if you're taking it out over 5 years, by the time you hit that 5th year, you might be into the gain, but at least then it's tax-free.
So we've been talking a ton about this concept with clients, that if we looked at a strategy of whether over a couple years, 5, 10 years, whatever it might be, if you've got a pretty big chunk of money in a pre-tax account, we may want to look at doing this. But you also got to make sure that, to Jennifer's point, what are the other income sources? Are we going to have money left to pull out if we need to? Or again, trying to manage the taxes on those distributions. It's not a deal where you can just do it today and start pulling tomorrow and take that gain, like Jennifer was saying, and potentially have an issue. Again, depends on how much contributions you got into it and those types of pieces. So it's just a concept that we talked about marginal tax rates. So if we understand we're only paying maybe 10, maybe 12% total tax on our income, why don't we look at that Roth conversion to get some money shifted over there if your situation allows it? All right.